The void between Mars and Jupiter rippled, a distortion in spacetime that heralded the arrival of the Busnar fleet. One by one, massive ships emerged from the wormhole, their hulls that gleamed with a golden color. Aboard the Prospector, hidden in the shadow of a carefully selected asteroid, Captain William Brown watched the alien armada with a mixture of awe and dread. His ship's passive sensors worked overtime, recording every detail of the Busnar vessels. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Sarah Jones, her eyes wide as she stared at the tactical display. "There must be dozens of them." Brown nodded grimly. "And each one probably capable of taking out our entire fleet." He turned to his communications officer. "Send a tight beam transmission to Earth. Busnar fleet has arrived, currently holding position near the Jupiter-Mars L3 point. Continuing passive scans." As the message was sent, Brown couldn't help but wonder, was this to be humanity's future? Hiding in the shadows, scraping for any advantage against vastly superior foes? In lunar orbit, the Prometheus hung silently, its experimental stealth systems making it all but invisible against the backdrop of space. Inside, Captain Diane Slade worked feverishly at her console, analyzing the incoming data from the Prospector and other observation posts scattered throughout the system. "This is incredible," she muttered, more to herself than to Lieutenant Samuel Callahan, who stood nearby. "The energy readings from their propulsion systems alone. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Slade leaned in, her brow furrowed. "Can we use any of this? Find a weakness?" Callahan shook his head slowly. "It's too soon to tell. But one thing's for sure, we're outmatched in every conceivable way." As they continued to study the Busnar fleet, neither of them noticed the small, spider-like robot that scuttled across the ceiling, its camera recording every detail of their conversation. On Earth, in the White House Situation Room, President Albert Chambers stood before a holographic display of the solar system, watching as the red dots representing the Busnar ships moved inexorably towards Earth. "What's our status?" he asked, his voice tight with tension. Admiral Victoria Hayes stepped forward. "All of our ships are in position, sir. The Hope, the Phoenix and Defiant are maintaining stealth orbits around Mars, while the Prometheus is observing from lunar orbit. The Prospector is our eyes and ears in the asteroid belt." General Jonathan Madison added, "Ground-based defenses are on high alert, but..." He trailed off, the futility of their preparations hanging unspoken in the air. Before Chambers could respond, an aide burst into the room. "Mr. President, we're receiving a transmission. It's from the Mulnari." Chambers' eyebrows shot up in surprise. "Put it through." The holographic display shifted, revealing the familiar form of a Mulnari diplomat. "Greetings, President Chambers. I am Ambassador Zarin. In light of recent developments, I have been dispatched to assist in smoothing relations between your people and the Busnar." Chambers exchanged glances with his advisors, a mix of hope and suspicion on their faces. "We appreciate your offer, Ambassador. But I must ask, where were you when the Busnar first attacked our colonies?" Zarin's skin rippled in what might have been discomfort. "The situation is complex, President Chambers. But know that the Mulnari wish to see peace maintained. Perhaps we can discuss this further in person?" As the transmission ended, Chambers turned to his team. "Thoughts?" Hayes spoke first. "It could be an opportunity, sir. The Mulnari have more experience dealing with the Busnar." Madison disagreed. "Or it could be a trap. We still don't know the Mulnari's true motives." Chambers nodded, weighing their words carefully. "We'll hear them out. But we proceed with caution. The Busnar are our immediate concern." On Mars, Dr. Yuki Tanaka and her team huddled in the underground bunkers, the weight of the red planet pressing down on them like a physical manifestation of their fears. "Any word from Earth?" Dr. Carl Robertson asked, his voice hushed. Tanaka shook her head. "Nothing yet. But no news is good news, right?" In the depths of Siberia, General Viktor Volkov paced in front of the bank of monitors displaying the Busnar fleet's approach. The Myzoan technology they had acquired hummed ominously in the background, a constant reminder of the devil's bargain they had made. "Status report," he barked. Dr. Andrei Kuznetsov looked up from his console, his face haggard. "The integration of Myzoan weapons into our defense systems is proceeding, sir. But without full understanding of the technology, I can't guarantee their effectiveness against the Busnar." Volkov's jaw clenched. They had traded so much for this technology, and now, when they needed it most, it might prove useless. "Keep working," he ordered. "And pray we don't need to use it." Light years away, aboard the Audacity, Captain Emily Shaw sat in tense silence with the Naxath and Tansrath representatives. They all knew the Busnar would be arriving any day in the Sol system. Your people face a grave test, Captain Shaw, Trade Overseer Knoxkull clicked, mandibles twitching nervously. How do you intend to respond? Shaw chose her words carefully. We will meet their demands, for now. But we're not giving up. Earth is outmatched for the moment, so our options are limited. Ambassador Gore of the Tansrath rumbled thoughtfully. Perhaps. The Busnar are unlike anything your species has encountered. There may be other options to consider. As Shaw listened to their thinly veiled offers of assistance, each with its own set of strings attached, she couldn't help but feel that humanity was being pulled into a game of galactic politics it barely understood. Back in the Sol system, the Busnar fleet had taken up position in Earth orbit. Their massive ships loomed over the planet like dark clouds, casting shadows on the nations below. In the White House lawn, a Busnar shuttle had landed, disgorging a delegation led by Commander Farine. President Chambers, flanked by his advisors and security detail, stood ready to receive them. Nearby, Ambassador Zarin of the Mulnari waited, his role in this delicate dance yet to be determined. As Farine approached, his avian features inscrutable, Chambers steeled himself for what was to come. This was not just a meeting, it was a confrontation that would determine the future of humanity. President Chambers, Farine's voice grated through the translator. We have come for what is owed. I trust you have it ready? Chambers nodded, keeping his voice steady. We have prepared the resources you demanded, Commander. But surely there's room for discussion? For a more mutually beneficial arrangement? Farine's head tilted, his eyes glittering dangerously. You misunderstand your position, human. This is not a negotiation. You will provide what we demand, or we will take it, along with anything else we deem valuable. At this, Ambassador Zarin stepped forward. Perhaps I can offer some perspective that might benefit both parties, he began, his skin rippling with what might have been excitement or nervousness. Commander Farine seemed to look down on the Mulnar, but Ambassador Zarin spoke the Busnar language fluently and played to his ego, and at that things did go smoother. As the delicate dance of diplomacy began, with the fate of Earth hanging in the balance, the hidden ships of humanity's fledgling space force continued their silent vigil. The Hope and Defiant orbited Mars, their stealth systems masking them from Busnar sensors. The Prometheus lurked in lunar orbit, its advanced systems recording every detail of the Busnar fleet. And in the asteroid belt, the Prospector maintained its watch, a hidden sentinel at the edge of human-controlled space. Each ship's crew knew that they might be humanity's last line of defense, or, if the worst came to pass, the seeds of its survival among the stars. They watched, and waited, and hoped. In Area 51, Dr. Elena Reyes and her team worked frantically, poring over the data streaming in from the observation ships. The Busnar technology was beyond anything they had imagined, but with each passing moment, they were learning, adapting, finding patterns and possibilities. Look at this, Dr. James Chambliss exclaimed, pointing to a complex energy signature. Their communication between ships. I am downloading as much as I can. We might be able to break the encryption, mimic or even jam their transmissions. Reyes nodded, her mind racing. It's a long shot, but it's something. Keep on it. And someone get me the latest on that Martian alloy, if we can combine these insights. Dr. Martin Rose at Area 51 announced Dr. Reyes' spectrographic analysis reveals their ship hulls have much in common with the titanium isotope found on Mars. Dr. Reyes called out, rerun that scan, I want it verified, send word to our ships we need that test verified by another set of sensors. They set to work on getting the tests run. In orbit, aboard the lunar station, the command staff oversaw the transfer of vital materials from the station to the Busnar fleet. The Busnar shuttles were coming and going, ferrying the demanded resources from the station to their massive ships. I don't like this, Dr. Emily Takahashi muttered. We're just letting them take whatever they want. Station Commander David Chen replied. We don't have a choice, Doctor, not yet. But every moment they're here is another moment we learn about them. Keep those passive scans running. Leave no detail unrecorded. As the day wore on, the Busnar ships began to withdraw, their holds full of Earth's resources. On the surface, world leaders breathed a collective sigh of relief, even as they grappled with the humiliation of their capitulation. In the Oval Office, President Chambers sat with Ambassador Zarin, the weight of the day's events heavy on his shoulders. You played your part well, Mr. President, Zarin said, his tone unreadable. The Busnar are satisfied, for now. Chambers looked up, his eyes hard. For now. But they'll be back, won't they? And what then? How long can we keep paying their protection fees? Zaren's skin rippled in complex patterns. Yes, they will be back. The important thing for now is to be easier to trade with than fight. If at any point it is easier for them to wipe you out than extort resources, well, I believe you met the Sarani and heard about the devastation of their homeworld. Not all hope is lost though. From all accounts you have a growing number of allies and the Busnar a growing list of enemies. A better solution is possible, it just requires a degree of patience and humility for the time being. As Zaren spoke of alliances and opportunities, of technologies that could level the playing field, Chambers listened with growing interest. But a part of him couldn't help but wonder, in this vast, galactic game of chess, was humanity truly a player, or merely a pawn? In the darkness of space, as the Busnar fleet retreated through the wormhole from whence they came, Earth's hidden ships maintained their vigil. They had watched, they had learned, and now they would prepare. For the crew of the Prospector, the Hope, the Defiant, and the Prometheus, their mission was clear. They were the silent watchers, the unseen guardians of humanity's future. And though the path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, they were determined to see it through. As the last Busnar ship vanished into the wormhole, Captain William Brown of the Prospector allowed himself a small smile. "Well done, everyone," he said to his crew. "Now the real work begins." The stars twinkled silently, indifferent to the dramas playing out beneath them. But for humanity, those distant points of light were no longer just objects of wonder, they were beacons of possibility, of danger, and of hope. The galaxy had challenged them, and though the odds were stacked against them, humanity was rising to meet that challenge. The game was far from over. In fact, it had only just begun.